when finances come into play, because
Yeah.
I'm so interested in how campaigns work, and
Yeah.
I like to understand. I'm a firm believer in following the money on everything. So when it comes to
Okay.
campaigns, following the money, where do you raise money on a smaller campaign?
Well, I think the smaller campaigns are a more intimate level of fundraising.
Mm-hmm.
The campaign in the grassroots, of course, is more intimate in itself than you would see on a national or a state level, because you actually have the opportunity to talk to every single constituent on your list, and you don't
Right.
have that liberty as a state or a federal candidate.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as fundraising, we did a lot within the homes of people.
Mm-hmm.
I did a garden party this year where I actually had a master gardener come in and speak and tell us how to garden. And we have chosen to do a wine and cheese party later on. Just walking up to people and saying, gosh, my campaign's going well. Would you like to support it?
Mm-hmm.
And people are willing to support.
Mm-hmm.
I also get support from, of course, my 3rd District party, and there are other means outside of our community to seek fundraising. But I have chosen to vest myself here in Columbia City, to be invested in Columbia City, and I feel that that's where my support, the core of my support, needs to come from, and that is where it is coming from, the
Mm-hmm.
core of Columbia City.
Okay.
So,
and so my next question is going to be, where do you see national politics coming into play on your local level for your community? And if you were to be mayor, what issues would you have to deal with that people can all relate to who are watching this nationally?
Well, I think nationally, what happens is it always sends our community into a tailspin, no matter whether it's good or bad, because it's always a topic of discussion in every coffee shop, every restaurant, every store, whatever. And people need to be able to understand what is going on a federal level. They need to be able to understand what is going on the state level as well. And that affects our county level and our city level, because people oftentimes do not understand the policies, or they get scared, and they tend to constrict, and they don't open themselves up to what is going on, and they form opinions that I think could be better understood if they were better educated. And I think about the policies and so forth, why our government is doing what we're doing. I think that if the mayor could help dissolve some of those disbeliefs. I'll give you a prime example, and this is from a state level, not a national level.
Okay.
But, for example, our sewer system that we had to put in, we were handed down a state mandate. And I think oftentimes people don't understand what that mandate means to us. As a community, we were told we had to fix something. We were giving no funds to fix it. And I believe that people need to understand that it wasn't that the city of Columbia City wanted to fix the sewer system or needed to fix it particularly, but the state said, you have to. Maybe it wasn't the right time for our city to do it, but it doesn't matter, because the state says, this is the time allotted, this is the project, you must do it. And I think educating the public to why we have to do things like that, why their rate has to go up, and that it is out of our control. And also, as a mayor, I would like to be an advocate for the state not doing that to us.
Yeah,
give us some sort of funding, help us with these mandates.
Yeah, I didn't know that it worked that way. Generally, I'm wondering how often that kind of scenario would happen from state to state or from city to city. Is that common that you know of?
Well, I think it's as common to us as any other state or any other city in the Midwest here in Indiana.
And it kind of sucks because states are having such a hard time. I would imagine they are starting to put more burdens on the cities to take care of themselves. Okay.
Yes.
So the next question would have to be, and it's kind of in line with that. It's what is the role of the mayor, and at what point does your power end where you can't do anymore, or it's a subject matter or policy issue that you don't get to have a say in, and just the general
Okay.
definition of a role of a mayor.
Okay. Well, to answer the first part of that question,
Okay.
The role of the mayor is to facilitate the skills within the department heads and within the community to benefit the city. The role of the mayor, the mayor oversees 50 miles of roads, 15 miles of alleys, 9 parks, 11 ponds, and everything in between. There is a lot of roles. We as a mayor, we oversee 150 people. So leadership and the ability to get the most out of your department heads and the people within them is very important. Infrastructure is a huge part of what you do as a mayor. If you don't have roads, if you don't have sidewalks, if we don't have water, that's a huge problem for the community. So the upkeep and the governing of each one of these entities is the role of the mayor. Basically, the mayor governs the city and helps to make the policies that keep the city in order. Now, the second part of the question was, repeat that again.
Yeah, sure. It was, you just talked about what the mayor does, but what can't they do? Where does that power end? Okay.
Where does the power end? Well, I have a belief that the power of the mayor ends at the city limits.
Okay.
With that said, I also think that the power of the mayor ends where their influence ends. Okay? So, with that said, maybe the mayor has influence down at the State House. Maybe the mayor can make a difference down there because the voice they take down there as an advocate to their city. Okay? They go down there and they are upset about something, or there's a concern that happened in their city that they're upset about their citizens because of something the state did. And you can go down there and you can be an advocate for your city, for the state. Perhaps you could be an advocate on other roles as well. And I think there is a myriad of ways that your role as a mayor can go outside of your community. Also, I think using other communities as a reference to why certain things happen within your city and how you can find a solution. So the duty of the mayor is to take care of the city. Now, that does extend oftentimes outside the city limits, and I hope I've explained that.
No, absolutely.
Okay.
So my next question here, I'm looking at my list here.
Okay.
What aspects about campaigning have you been enjoying, and what aspects haven't you enjoyed? And not to put you on the spot, because it's hard to come out and say, oh, well, I really don't like this part of it, and sounding negative. But what have I understand there's there's always something you can't stand that you're still willing to put up with to run for mayor, but what are those 2 things that you like and don't like?
Oh, I think the thing that I like is, number one, the ability to make contact with people. I'm very much a people person. I always have been. I don't think I could run a business for 13 years in downtown Columbia City if I wasn't a people person. I enjoy helping people. I've been a volunteer for 4 years down at the 4-H as the vice president of the fair board. I dig in down there and roll up my sleeves and help make that county fair a wonderful fair. And I just think what I enjoy most is people and helping. I believe that there is a better way to do things. There's always a different way to look at things. And I enjoy that interaction with people and finding the best solution that can possibly be found to benefit the city or whatever organization I'm actually involved in. The downside, I would say...
Here's the fun part. What's the irritating thing?
I won't say it's irritating. It's just challenging because I'm a mother of 2 children and I'm a wife. I run a business 6 days a week. I am vice president of the fair board. And, sometimes when you try to fit campaigning in amongst all your other duties, it gets really challenging. I enjoy a good challenge and I love to be busy. I believe that I work best when I am the busiest. I don't like idle time. I always like to be working on something. And I'm enjoying in my spare time that I have campaigning. But honestly, campaigning is like taking on another full-time job.
Yeah.
And when I'm balancing all these other entities of my life, that's where it's such a benefit to have all the people that help me, because I couldn't do it without them.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to give as much time as I possibly can to the campaign, but I also can't ignore the fact that I'm an elected member of a fair board that, you know, until the county fair was over, it was really hard for me to campaign because
Right.
I had pledged myself to them.
Mm-hmm.
And to make that organization the best it could possibly be. And of course, my shop. You know, my shop has been my lifeline and my heartbeat for the last 13 years, and I will continually work to make that successful.
Right.
So
I think I understand what you're saying. It's this idea that you that the only way to be productive is to constantly be productive, is to constantly be out there. But the problem, the drawbacks about that is the threat of overextending yourself. At any time you realize you're putting in too much, and that's
it takes a lot of time. But you know, again, I enjoy it. I would not be doing this if I didn't enjoy it,
Right.
and I would not be doing this if I didn't think I was up to the task.
Right.
So.
Hey, that's great. I appreciate you taking the time, Cathy Heritier, and doing this.
Yeah.
And
I'm glad to do it for you. I hope it helped.
Oh well, thank you very much. So you have a good night, and I hope your campaign goes well. And take care. And we can do this again maybe after the campaign. We can come back and do a little in retrospect thing.
Sounds great.
All right, have fun. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.